Okay, so the next process that you're going to want to get your assistant set up on is going to be sales processes and sales help. And so my background is actually in sales, and so sales is definitely a hard process. But in this portion of the course, I'm going to give you some actionable steps to help aid your sales process that your assistant can execute behind the scenes to keep your pipeline full. And make no mistake, your personal assistant is not your salesperson. However, they can help you lay a foundation to build relationships, which can hopefully lead to sales in the future. And in this next section, I'm going to show you how I have personally used my assistants to land over 30 closed client contracts with 0 cold outreach. So you're going to need to have 2 types of CRMs, and you can store them in the same area. They're just going to need to be tagged differently. But one of these is going to be a CRM full of people who might have been at a similar conference as you, people that might be in similar areas that might be a relevant contact for you that you haven't necessarily had an interaction with. And then the second CRM is going to be a personal CRM. And the personal CRM are going to be people that you meet, people that you have meetings with, and that are on kind of close to your sleeve. So that can be anybody from friends to other referral partners to other people who are in similar businesses, or people you just frequently see because they're in your community sphere, or other people who may even be part of business groups that you're in. So to start, I'm actually going to begin with the first, which is more the cold outreach section. So there's a few different ways that you can do cold outreach. There's a few different CRMs that you can really start with. But what I highly recommend is starting with HubSpot. HubSpot does have a free version if you're just trying to store contacts. It does get a little bit more complicated once you're actually doing outreach. But this is personally what I have done in order to help build my business, and it's been very effective. So cold outreach and the people that you're going to want to target, you can do so in a few different ways, but my personal favorite way and the way that I have found is the most effective is to have people that are at the same events as you. So you can do this either by going to a conference, and a lot of times conferences will give you a really large list of everybody that attends the conference. Have your assistant get access to that list and input into a CRM, which again, I'd recommend using HubSpot, their name, their title, the company they work for, as well as any other relevant information and any other contact info they can find, and have them put their LinkedIn info in the CRM as well. So what I would recommend, especially if you go to a large conference that might have thousands of attendees, have your assistant do 30 contacts a day. So take that list that you have from the conference, pick 30 contacts out every single day, and then on your end, you should go add the 30 most, of that 30, you should go add the most relevant people to your business immediately. So go on every single day, keep up with this. You should be sending about 10 LinkedIn requests a day. And if you're posting content regularly, this is what's going to trigger people to interact with you because you're going to be growing your audience. And if you're providing a service or if you have a product that might be relevant to people, they're going to see information about that product and they're going to start subconsciously becoming familiar with it. And they might even reach out. You don't actually have to do cold outreach for this. Absolutely, you can. You can even take it a step further and start sending email sequences, which you do have to pay for in HubSpot. It ends up being around $500 a month. But in all honesty, you can just stick with getting their name and then LinkedIn and just keeping them in your sphere. And this will even help eventually maybe build relationships. If you get a really good contact out of that, you might be able to do some cold outreach directly. But for the most part, just having these people on your LinkedIn is going to be extremely valuable. And if you're not going to a conference, or if you don't have any relevant data for your assistant to pull from that conference piece, what you can also do is you can look at local events that are in town. So I would check 3 different places, and I would have your assistant regularly look in 3 different areas. The first would be Luma. I would highly recommend Luma. There's a lot of events that are listed, and you can even look at your city on Luma and see what events that are going on nearby. And sometimes Luma will have open invite list, so you can pull that data from the invite list. Again, have your assistant add these into your personal CRM. So pull the invite list from Luna, mark where they came from, and then just start adding these people on LinkedIn slowly. Again, that's ingratiating you in a network without having to physically go to some of these events. And it's a really good way to build a little bit of credibility, because if you're meeting with people, or if you're trying to do cold outreach to somebody and they have 50 plus connections with you, they're going to be a lot more likely to take the meeting. And so if you're hitting people that are in this community, your target audience is going to be connected with a lot of the same people. Again, I'd highly recommend that. And then you could repeat this exact same process for things like Eventbrite or other meetups, especially ones that are centered around your target demographic. Of course, I always recommend going to events. I'm actually an event organizer, and I found it to be very helpful to have in-person conversations. But this is a way, if you're unable to attend, that you can kind of navigate that, and you can still get some of these meaningful contacts and some of these meaningful LinkedIn connections without actually having to attend. And having your assistant automate that and go ahead and actually find these LinkedIn profiles is going to save you a ton of time. And so in our packet, I'm going to have a step-by-step guide on how to do this and how you should format your HubSpot CRM. It's a lot of personal preference when it comes to HubSpot. You can keep it super basic, but it's going to go through every single step of the process. And so next, we're going to move on to the personal CRM. And I love having a personal CRM, and I personally don't keep my personal CRM on HubSpot. I actually keep my personal CRM on Google Sheets. And that might sound a little antiquated, but it actually helps because it does become a little bit more personalized, and you're able to really look at the data and edit it as necessary. So every single time I take a meeting with anyone, I have my assistant look at my meetings list and proactively add people onto that Google Sheet. So I try to do quite a few one-on-one meetings. I have a Calendly link. It's a 15-minute Calendly link. And I'll reach out to people that I've met either through networking events or just through my sphere of influence. And I'll try to schedule 15 minutes with them so that I can hear a little bit about their business, and then I can also tell them about my business. On that spreadsheet, I have my assistant put the date, the name, and then any notes that are relevant about the meeting, that person, their company, where they might be relevant to me. And sometimes they won't know all that information. It's still worth it for them to start getting started on it, and that'll shortcut a lot for you. And so with my personal CRM, once my assistant kind of gets that set up and populates my meetings, it gives me a place to take notes. And then also I'll highlight people that I don't think are relevant to keep in my short list personal CRM, either because they're in a totally different industry that doesn't have any impact on me, or because they might not be in the place to give referrals, especially in the entrepreneurial community. And I'll actually move them, and after just highlighting them, my assistant will go back through and move them to the more general CRM. So that Google Sheet, you're going to want to have the people that are hyper relevant to your business. And again, that could even be friends that just have a lot of contacts in your industry that might be able to throw you business. I really highly recommend, again, keeping this on a Google Sheet, and it's so you can start separating out people that wouldn't be relevant. And then also on that Google Sheet, what I have my assistant do is, after I have a really good conversation with somebody and I want to follow up, my assistant actually goes through and sees, puts a mark 2 weeks from the first time that I have a meeting to 2 weeks later, and she sends me notification every single morning that 2 week mark hits and says, hey, you need to go ahead and contact this list of people and just check in with them. See if any of the connections you sent them went through. See if there's anything else you can do for their business. If you tried their product, mention that you tried it. Basically, to keep those lines of communications open, because that is how you build business, is by creating really good relationships. But you can't possibly keep track of all the people that you're meeting and interacting with. So it really helps to have an assistant who's also helping you propel those relationships forward. And then it also allows you to keep people in mind. So let's say you have a conversation with somebody who runs an operations business and you think that they're very cool, their product's really cool, and you like their methodology. You can then in turn keep them at the top of mind for recommendations. And you do that by just continuously checking in, especially if you think you could also be a good referral partner to someone. But having that assistant double check and make sure that you're actually pushing your relationships forward, it's going to give you a lot of accountability and developing more meaningful relationships with business contacts. And so apart from some of the sales that your assistant can definitely help you make just by developing relationships, another thing that your assistant can do is booking excursions, especially for clients. This is something that I personally love to do, and it's something I've found really effective. There are even little things like escape rooms or ball games, anything that you think would be relevant for your specific type of client. And that's especially one thing I always tell people who work in tech is if you have some clients who are spending a lot of money with you, I would highly recommend taking those decision makers out for a hands-on project. Escape rooms is the example I just gave. I think they're a really good way, and people who are in tech usually tend to like that sort of problem solving. With ball games, it might be hit or miss. They might really love football, they might hate it, but a lot of people that are in tech usually really like escape rooms or something similar. Another, if you don't want to spend escape room capital, another one that I can recommend is doing a trivia night. Having your assistant research some trivia nights in the area and hosting an event there for your clients. And then it also gives you the opportunity to invite other people that you think are relevant for your business that you're trying to build a better relationship with. And your assistant going through a personal CRM can also help you identify those people. And then there are also, in almost every single city, some fun pop-ups that come up. One thing that we have in Austin is we actually have a game trivia night. So you can go rent out a room and you do a trivia show, kind of think Family Feud style, but you do it on Teams with a group of people. So if you can set something like that up or find something like that in your city, your assistant can do that research, and it really becomes valuable in going after those larger clients and also helping maintain client relationships that you have with people that you think are going to keep spending money with your business. That's a great way to really set that foundation. So I hope that you found this helpful. We're gonna have a really large list of resources in that packet. And the way that our packet is divided is into two different pieces. One is gonna be just the owner operator action steps. So this is gonna be a packet that if all you want to do is read the steps and just do these little maintenance things, it's gonna give you a step-by-step guide on how to get all these processes set up. And then the second half is going to be your assistant's standard operating procedure. So I would recommend looking through that, making sure that it's aligning with your company goals, and even downloading it and adding, removing, or editing pages. But overall, if you want to be hands-off, could just do the steps in your packet and have your assistant completely take over everything in their packet. But this is going to be a comprehensive guide so that when you get started, your assistant is going to be able to take over almost all of the operations pieces, all of the sales pieces that are relevant to building higher end relationships, and any other practices you might have in the business. But I really believe that this is a good foundation. We've been doing this for a while. We've been sourcing virtual assistants, and it's so important to start off with the right one. But once you find that person, you have to also assign them things to do in the business so that they're able to stay relevant. So I really highly recommend, even if you don't want to implement every single thing in this packet, take a look at it and try to implement some of the things, because at the end of the day, all these items that are listed in the packet are still items that you are currently completing, whether you realize it or not. You might just not have a standard operating procedure for it, but you're still carrying the mental weight and the mental load of completing these projects. So offload that to somebody that you trust, offload that onto a personal assistant, and make sure that you're keeping your business up to date, running extremely efficiently, and also that you're getting value out of a personal assistant service. Because once you start chipping away at these operations pieces and at these sales pieces, you're going to actually realize, and I swear this happens every single time, you're going to realize how much more free time you actually have to start working on some of these larger projects and to start doing the things that your business truly operates for, and get back to the root of why you decided to start your business. And lastly, I'm Paris Bland. I'm the founder of Digital Executive. We help small businesses and founders find extremely talented virtual assistants and other staff members based in South America and Argentina. So if you want to get started, if you're having trouble finding that good assistant, that perfect assistant, please send us a message. We're more than happy to help you not only find a really good assistant, but then also help them implement some of these practices that are going to take your business to the next level. Thanks so much for watching. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to us.